Welcome, you're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Osama Shah. Big breaking news coming in at the top of this hour. At a review meeting held at his residence, the Chief Minister, Siddaramaiah, he came down heavily on the civic officials over the poor state of Bengaluru's roads. He warned that negligence in fixing potholes will invite strict action, including suspension. Every ward engineer and chief engineer has been given 1 month to make roads motorable. In fact, the Chief Minister also slammed the officials for starting road works only during monsoons and directed the new GBA Chief Commissioner to personally conduct field inspections. Meanwhile, the Chief Minister has also assured that funds will not be an issue, with rupees 25 crore already released for emergency repairs. A review will be held again after 1 month from now. The Chief Minister of Karnataka has set a 1-month deadline to fix the potholes and improve the road situation in the city. And this comes after NDTV's sustained campaign of highlighting the poor infrastructure, especially the roads in Bengaluru. And this is the breaking news that we are getting at this point of time. There was a review meeting that was held at the Chief Minister's residence. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, he in fact came down heavily on the civic officials. He warned that negligence in fixing the potholes and fixing these roads will invite strict action. He has given 1 month to make the roads motorable. Meanwhile, the Chief Minister also slammed the officials for starting the road works only during monsoons, and he also directed the new Chief Commissioner of the GBA to personally conduct field inspection. He also flagged the poor coordination between various departments. In fact, currently, 14,795 potholes have been identified, and this is across the city, of which 6,749 are closed and 8,046 remain. Now, Siddaramaiah has ordered all the potholes to be filled by end of October, is what we are learning at this point of time. Meanwhile, the Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, he indicated that the column showing Christian subcastes have been removed from the caste census. Commenting on the confusion over the introduction of Christian nomenclature in the subcaste category, the Chief Minister said it has been removed now. He clarified further, saying that it is not me who has removed it. The Backward Class Commission is a statutory body. We cannot interfere in it. We cannot direct it. We have given it guidelines and asked them to do it according to these guidelines.
Permanent Backward Class Commission is a statutory body. ನಾವು ಇಂಟರ್ಫಿಯರ್ ಆಗಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಹಿಂಗೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಗೈಡ್ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ಗೈಡ್ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರಕಾರವಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ.
And just days after Rahul Gandhi alleged vote theft in the Aland Assembly constituency ahead of the 2023 Karnataka polls, the state government has set up a special investigation team comprising 3 IPS officers in order to probe this particular case. In fact, my colleague Ritu Rajpurohit gets us the details.
Well, you see, following the special request that was also being made by this particular leader to the Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah about the irregularities during the Aland Assembly elections, regarding the votes, you see, we also had Rahul Gandhi holding a press conference about it and alleging about the vote chori. Now you have the Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah who's heard it to this particular leader, and you see now there is an SIT that has been constituted as well. Now this will be actually be taken care completely by the 3 IPS officers, is what we are given to understand. Obviously, these officials or the senior officers who will be taking up this whole probe further to understand about the irregularities. Now needs to be seen how is this going to pan out in the coming days.
The filing was done automatically using software. We will show you that. Mobile numbers from outside Karnataka, from different states, and you can see on the map, from different states were used to delete numbers in Aland. And it was done targeting Congress voters. So this was not random. We will show you again that these deletions were specifically targeting booths where the Congress party was winning.
Well, allegations of rupees 100 crore loot from Tirumala's Parakamani funds during the YSRCP regime have sparked uproar after CCTV footage. It showed TTD employee Ravi Kumar allegedly stealing from the cash offerings. Reacting to this expose, the Andhra Pradesh minister and TDP leader Nara Lokesh challenged the YS Jagan regime, saying, and I quote, "Those who looted in the name of Lord Venkateshwara, who betrayed the faith of millions of devotees, you cannot escape. Truth will be All right, breaking news now coming in, and the United States has now clarified on the H-1B visa issue. The White House says that this is a one-time fee only for the new visas, and it is not for the renewals or current visa holders. According to the statement, it says that President Trump promised to put American workers first, and this common sense action does just that by discouraging companies from spamming the systems and driving down wages. It also gives certainty to American business who actually want to bring high-skilled workers to our great country but have been trampled by abusers of the system. This is what the White House spokeswoman Taylor Rogers has mentioned. This is a one-time fee that applies only to the petition. It only applies to new visas, not renewables or current visa holders. It will first apply in the next upcoming lottery cycle, is what the White House says. And NDTV's Priyanka Deona joins us to get us more on this. Priyanka, take us through the details. The United States has now clarified on its stand. Give us the details.
There has been a lot of uncertainty. I have walked the streets of Chicago to try and talk to H-1B holders. Everyone is really scared because of the uncertainty. The White House is defending this new executive order as common sense action to put American workers first. And as you said, spokeswoman Taylor Rogers argues that it will stop companies as well as individuals from spamming or taking advantage of the H-1B system. And there have been documented cases and instances of this, as well as driving down wages while giving certainty to employers who truly needed high-skilled talent. And on background, officials stress that this is a one-time fee that applies to only new petitions, not renewals or current visa holders, and will take effect in the next lottery cycle. But even with these clarifications, this executive order represents a major shift in U.S. immigration and labor policy, because by imposing the $100,000 fee per H-1B petition and also introducing a gold card, green card pathway that costs between $1 to $2 million, the Trump administration is sending strong signals here that foreign workers will be far more expensive and difficult to hire, and permanent residency is only for the wealthy or the elite. So the biggest impact here obviously falls on Indian professionals, who make up nearly 70% of H-1B recipients. Many families who've built lives in the US now face uncertainty, wondering if employers will still sponsor them, whether they should travel abroad, or even if their long-term futures are secure. And even though current holders are technically exempt, the announcement has already created this fear and confusion, which is destabilizing in its own right. The business implications are equally significant. Major US companies, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Apple, Meta, Intel, and Qualcomm depend heavily on H-1B engineers. And if the costs rise too high, the incentive may not be to hire American workers, it actually might be to move the job overseas, undermining America's innovation edge and taking away the aim of this executive order, right, in the first place. So that just doesn't affect tech. It also ripples to research, higher education, as well as the broader economy. And speaking of higher education, many universities have already issued advisories to H-1B holders that do not travel to India. Of course, that's with the uncertainty. The advisory may have been published and sent out before the White House has clarified, but this has had an immediate chilling effect. Indian students are the largest group of international students in the United States. They often choose American universities because the H-1B visa offers a path to stay and work after their graduation. And if that pathway looks prohibitively expensive or unstable, many will pivot to China, the UK, or Australia. This would mean fewer international enrollments, less tuition revenues for universities, and weaker talent pipelines for US employers.
All right, Priyanka Dev, thank you very much for getting us all those details and contextualizing this for our viewers as well. In fact, I'm also currently joined by Nicole Gunara, the Principal Immigration Attorney, Manifest Law. Nicole, welcome to NDTV. The White House says that this is in order to protect the American workers. Do you believe that this fee, it is going to have any significant effect, any real impact, especially on wages in the United States?
Yeah, I would like to say that based on like the White House's statements and their intentions, right, when you have this very high fee that is going to be imposed, it may incentivize companies to invest in domestic education or focusing on training on American workers. But when it comes to wages, I think one of the subtleties of the proclamation that not a lot of people are talking about is the directive to the Labor Secretary to increase prevailing wages. That means a shifting of an increase of the minimum wages for a lot of these roles, whether it's on H-1Bs or on permanent residents, and essentially those kinds of processes. Though I do think there could be an impact when it comes to an increase of wages, at least for these kinds of industries that rely on the H-1B and the like.
Nicole, there is also a fear that larger corporations, these big companies, they'll be able to absorb this fee very easily. But the smaller firms, they might struggle.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Like, it is very possible that they may struggle because this is a very high fee. The reality is that $100,000 is not something to really scoff at. For a lot of startups that rely on a seed amount of money or a small amount of money to start, this can be quite prohibitive. But I will say that there could be some alternatives that people should be exploring to try to avoid over-relying or relying on the H-1B, because what we have seen from the news that has come out is the vulnerabilities that can come from over-relying on one type of visa for the entirety of the industry or parts of the sectors that are out there that utilize the H-1B.
Nicole, since this particular fee, it only applies to new visas and not renewals, as clarified by the United States, the White House in the United States. What does it mean for the current H-1B holders, who are especially the ones who are waiting for their green cards or extensions?
So what this would mean for individuals is that they should really be prepared for alternatives. The only reason why I'm saying that is because what you just said earlier is that in the background, White House officials have confirmed this. However, when you look at the written word of the proclamation, it seems to not really distinguish between people who are existing and people who are applying for new applications. But even if, let's say, the government opts to just focus on new applications for people who are existing, I would say you need to start focusing on building yourself towards some sort of green card or something that is more permanent than the H-1B, because this could just be one step in multiple steps in a direction to try to disincentivize the entirety of the visa category.
I also want to understand the broader context here. Do you see this as a standalone policy tweak, or do you see this as a part of a larger White House strategy in order to restrict these high-skilled immigration? How do you look at it?
I think it's a push by the administration in order to process immigration reforms that we knew were coming down the pipeline. Did we know it was going to be through this kind of mechanism? The answer is no. But what we did know is that the government was trying to push people, or at least push the system, to focus on either the most extraordinary of talent or really restrict entry to focus on American jobs going to American workers. I do think this is one of many possible reforms that are going to be coming, whether it's in the next few months or the next few years. Essentially, this is why people need to be very focused and updated with everything that is going on in the immigration system.
Nicole, is there also a fear that this could create uncertainty for all these big US tech companies who are competing with global firms for talent? Do you think that can happen?
I do think that that can happen. I think it does create a scenario where tech firms who may not be as familiar with other alternatives that are out there in saying that, hey, the traditional playbook or utilizing the H-1B is no longer going to work. The usual things that we are most familiar with are now changing so rapidly. It can create a scenario where tech firms decide to say, hey, we're not going to compete for this. We're just going to focus on domestic talent and maybe not employ foreign nationals. But the one thing that I have to implore to many viewers here who do work in these global tech firms or even these industries that do rely on the H-1B is that alternatives do exist. There are other visas that are out there that are still not touched. And I think what's so important to focus on is on the statements that the White House did make when they were announcing this policy reform. Critical note is the fact that they were emphasizing extraordinary ability, guys. The reality is that extraordinary ability is a very specific term. It's utilized in other visa categories, and maybe that's what a lot of industries should be focusing on acquiring to maintain competitiveness on the global landscape, especially when bringing workers to the United States.
Right. Nicole, one final question from you. From a legal perspective, could employers now try to find loopholes and especially or alternate visa categories in order to avoid this fee? Do you think that is also a possibility?
100%, absolutely. I think usually when there's these rapid changes, and I will tell you that under Trump 1.0, the previous administration that he was overseeing, essentially there were these significant changes that made people feel very distressed about the H-1B. This is not the first time that we're going to see wage increases. And what that really means is that companies do pivot. They start focusing on, hey, what are things that we can do instead of the H-1B? Should I be establishing J-1 programs? Should I be establishing O-1 programs to support my staff so that they can go into some sort of visa that doesn't rely on a lottery and doesn't rely on something that, especially the current administration right now, doesn't seem to really like. So that's kind of what you were kind of touching upon is those exceptions, those alternatives, and kind of looking for these loopholes. I do think companies are going to be pivoting in that direction for sure.
All right, Nicole Gunaro, thank you very much for speaking with NDTV.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And a new twist has emerged in the heated run-up to the Bihar polls. RJD's Tejasvi Yadav was seen distributing pens to a crowd during his Bihar Adhikar Yatra, a move that has now drawn the ire of the NDA, with the LJP now hitting out at his gesture, calling it disrespectful, while also taking a dig at Tejasvi's education, claiming that he never paid attention to his studies. Meanwhile, Tejasvi has defended his gesture, saying that he was distributing pens to educate people and saying that those who distribute swords, guns and bullets would not understand what he did.
ये वही लोग हैं जो तलवार और बंदूक का गोली बांटने वाले लोग हैं। कलम की बात आएगी तो उनको अच्छा नहीं लगेगा। तेजस्वी ने नौकरी दिया 5 लाख 17 महीने में। हम कलम बांट रहे हैं। हम चाहते बिहार हमारा शिक्षित प्रदेश बने, लोग पढ़े लिखे ताकि नौकरी और रोजगार मिले।
कम से कम दे रहा है, दुरुस्त है। अपनी शिक्षा को तो कभी गंभीरता से लिए नहीं, किसी और की शिक्षा के बारे में बात करें ये अच्छी बात है, लेकिन कलम फेंकना क्या होता है? बिहार की धरती में सरस्वती माँ का सम्मान होता है, हम लोग सरस्वती माँ को पूजते हैं, कलम का हम लोग पूजा करते हैं। जिस तरीके से वो फेंक रहे हैं, यही गंभीरता उनके पिताजी ने दिखा दी होती तो बिहार के कितने सारे युवा पढ़ लिख लिए होते। लेकिन ये देखिए कि अगर बिहार में युवाओं के शिक्षा की किसी ने बात की, अगर एक सुरक्षित समाज बनाया है, सुरक्षित इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बनाया है, तो वो हमारे माननीय मुख्यमंत्री श्री नीतीश कुमार जी और यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी हैं। तो अब ये कलम फेंक के जो करना चाह रहे हैं वो नहीं होने वाला है। जिस तरह से वो कलम फेंक रहे हैं, लोग उनको जरूर बताएंगे कि शिक्षा का क्या मूल बिहार में।
Karnail Singh, the Delhi BJP MLA from Shakur Basti, has written to Domino's, KFC and McDonald's, demanding a ban on non-veg for 10 days on the occasion of Navaratri. Meanwhile, another MLA of the BJP, Tarvinder Singh Marwa from Jangpura, he has written to Delhi Chief Minister demanding a closure of all the meat shops during this period.
देखो, मैंने मुख्यमंत्री जी को पत्र लिखा है कि ये हमारे जो 22 तारीख से लेके 1 तारीख तक नवरात्रे हैं, इनमें मीट की दुकानें बंद होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि लोगों की इस पे आस्था बनी हुई है, जुड़ी हुई है, और साथ में ही लोग पैदल कहाँ से आते हैं। कोई रोहतक से आता है, कोई सोनीपत से आता है, पानीपत से आता है, 2-2 दिन यात्रा करके लोग आते हैं। तो और कहीं तो यात्रा लंबे लेट के सारे रास्ते एक बार उठेंगे फिर लंबे लेटेंगे, इस तरह करके आते हैं। तो इसलिए हमने पिछली बार भी हमें बहुत बड़ी कामयाबी मिली थी, 80% 85% दुकानें बंद थी। इस बार भी मुझे उम्मीद है कि पूरी दिल्ली में और उसके साथ फरीदाबाद हो गया, यहाँ पर भी दुकानें बंद, नोएडा हो गया, गाजियाबाद हो गया, यहाँ पर भी हम सबको दुकान बंद करें। हमारे वॉलंटियर भी घूमेंगे, हम भी सड़कों पे उतरेंगे कि दुकानें बंद करवाएंगे।
Another breaking news coming in at this point of time. Prime Minister Modi's late mother, she has been abused yet again. BJP has now posted a video of a rally from Tejasvi Yadav rally. The BJP says that Prime Minister Modi's mother was abused, and this abuse took place in Tejasvi's Mahua rally is what we understand at this point of time. Disrespectful words were used during Tejasvi's meeting. Abusive slogans were raised against the Prime Minister and Prime Minister's late mother at Tejasvi Yadav's rally in Mahua, and that has now sparked yet another controversy. My colleague Prabhakar Kumar joins us on the phone line to get us more on this. Prabhakar, take us through the details.
This is the second time when this abuse against the Prime Minister's mother has happened in Bihar, and today it happened at Vaishali in Bihar, the adjoining of from Patna. There was a Bihar Adhikar Yatra which Tejasvi Yadav is undertaking. He was there actually at the dais when this incident happened, and now the BJP is accusing the RJD of being abusive against the Prime Minister's mother always. So this is something which would actually roll into a big controversy when the election campaign happens in Bihar.
All right, Prabhakar Kumar, thank you very much for getting us all those details. In fact, Amit Malviya of the BJP, he has posted on his social media saying that this is the opposition politics, no civility, no culture.